On a recording. All right.
Go ahead.
That's good. All right. My name is Emmanuel, 20 years old. This is my second week with FFL so far. Before this, I was working at Amazon. So I had to find something. I was looking for something else to do in Amazon because I wasn't trying to work Amazon my whole life for sure. When I was working at Amazon, someone came up to me and told me about the opportunity. So after like 3 days of sleeping on it, I finally checked it out and I hit up Family First Life. I found that there was an agency, like an office in my area. So I ended up contacting Desiree and she hooked me all the way through. Here I am.
Perfect, man. So, and one of the couple things about you that I like is you're quick at taking action because, and this is no offense to anybody, right? But we have some agents that they'll get started in the process and then they'll drag the process out. It's going to be a couple weeks and maybe even a month before they get out and go sell their first policy. But with you, you came in the office last week, Thursday, you were ready to go. Contracts were submitted. We didn't have all your contracts, but we had some contracts. But if you were at the point where you're like, hey, Jermaine, what do I need to do next? So what is it that made you want to like get going right away?
Looking at the podcast, I saw that a lot of the success with FFL, new agents or any agents at all, was the action that they took. Like I see that as soon as they got the contract and they went out, they learned, and then they started making 20, 30, 40. So I was like, if I wanted to be like that, I have to, copy what they did. So that's what I'm trying to do right now.
Perfect. And so your first dial day was this past Thursday. Mm-hmm. And you had, how many leads did you start with? How many appointments did you book? How was that for you?
Okay. Based off the money I had right then and there, I had at least like 85 leads. I had 85 leads and I booked 6 appointments off of that. First day. Yeah.
And did you get through all 85 or just a majority of them? Or?
I got through all 85, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So you booked 6 appointments. How many people told you, hey, get off, stop calling me, get off my phone? What was that like?
Every other one that I did get through with, they were like, I'm good, get off the phone. Or some of them was like, yeah, okay, I'll book the appointment. Okay, I did fill this request in. So I'm like, okay, so those people, I booked them. Some people that were a little iffy, I still booked those too. Like at least one of them, Nabby, the one we had met, he was one of those that I booked that was kind of off, but we still got to go see him.
Okay, makes sense. So you didn't die at the end of your dial day. You were still living,
yeah,
right?
I was still good. Yeah, I was still good.
No, but you were nervous though, I bet, right?
Yeah, for sure. When I first got him, I was looking at him like, oh man, I have to call 85 people. Like I never called anybody like that before. Like I never had a job or any type of career, anything like that made me have to call on my own schedule, basically. So it's like I had to be disciplined enough to do that myself.
Makes sense, absolutely. And I love the coachability because what once I said, hey, get these leads and then let's start dialing, it's like, okay, you got out there into the dial area and you started dialing and you started booking up your schedule. And then the next day you went out, you had your first field day. So how were you feeling that day? Were you nervous? Were you confident?
The back before, man, I was like, I couldn't even sleep. I was like, yo, I don't even know what I'm going to say in the house. Like, I don't even know what I'm going to, like, I don't even know I was like, let me just calm down. I remember we can call the in-house and we can call you. Mm-hmm. So that is a major key, like calling in home. I feel like everybody should do that. If you have a little bit of iffiness, you should call in home. They will get you right immediately. So.
Gotcha. Perfect. And I know I typically don't do ride-alongs, but I was like, you had the first day, made the first sale. I helped you walk through that first sale. What did you learn from that phone call? While I was on the phone with you and your client, helping you walk through that sale, what did you take away from that?
Just the way you flowed through most of your stuff. Like you knew exactly how to, position yourself where you were in control, because a lot of things is like, if you start to become that person, you can they can take control of the entire, what you're trying to do, and they can throw you off your game, throw you off what you have to say, make you stumble, make you look, So when you have a lot of control in the house, you can get things what you need, and they will trust you more actually because you are licensed. So you're supposed to be confident in what you're doing. So I felt the confidence through the phone, and it just went straight through. It was smooth.
Perfect, perfect. And then we went out the next day, and we did a couple ride along. We went to 2 appointments together, and then we did 2 door knocks as well. And I just wanted to kind of just show you real time how it was. One appointment we sat was a no sale. The other appointment was a no show. Yeah, it was a no show. And then the 2 door knocks, they were both home, but they didn't want to let us in. So what did you get from that experience? You know, being in the house with me, and then you know, having the no show, and then, you know, the 2 door knocks that didn't want to let us in. What did you take away from that?
I just took away, like, you've been a Hall of Fame producer before, so just seeing that even you sometimes can't get in the door. That doesn't mean that, oh, because you couldn't get in the door, you can't produce here. Like, that's just part of the game. You have to keep pushing through, and eventually you will get where you need to go. Just if you stay consistent and disciplined, you will get there.
That's the key right there, guys. Nobody's special. That's what I wanted you to realize, that, you know, I'm not special. Grayson Hughes is not special. Steve Giordano, who we had on a couple of weeks or last week, is not special. You just, the more consistent you are with your schedule, your activity, the more success you'll have. And there's no secret formula. It's not like I show up and they're like, oh, wait, that's a Hall of Fame producer. Let him in.
It was like that. It would be completely different.
No, it's just work, right? And you got to be the type of individual that, you know, you're willing to put in the activity and the effort. And we talked about some of those things in between appointments, and put the numbers in your favor. And this becomes purely a numbers game. So I know you're still brand new, but you made your first sale, $768. So congratulations on that. You know, first of many to come. And then now it's like, hey, the sky's the limit. Or actually, I'm sorry, the sky's not a limit because there's footprints on the moon. But, you know, it's unlimited opportunity here. So what would you say to a new agent? Because our goal here at the Impact Agency is to empower agents to get out the gate quickly and make money as quickly as possible, and then be able to build a 6-figure career. So if there's anything now that you've been through that experience, what would you say to a new agent that, you know, might be in contracting or completed contracting, but it's kind of like hesitant to kind of jump in? What would you say to them?
I would say talk to your upline. That's number one, and just go through it. Like, it's going to be uneasy. It's going to be kind of uncomfortable, but when you're uncomfortable, that's when you grow the most. And I know that it's not going to feel good all the time, but it will help you grow, and it will get you to where you need to go. I know that for sure. Just being out in the field for one day and getting 768, like, in one day, that already opened my eyes to be like, okay, if I just put more effort into it, if I consistently do it, I will get better. It's going to be good days, it's going to be bad days, but if I stay through it all, I'll get where I need to go. Makes sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think you mentioned that it would have taken you a week at Amazon to make that type of money.
At least like $500. A whole week of night shifts to get 500, but one day was 7.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, and that's what I call unemployable. You can't go back to Amazon. So awesome. So man, I'm excited about you. Stay consistent. Don't get complacent. Put in that activity. And like I was saying, and this is to everybody on the call, it's like, you know, when you're getting started, you're going to have to put in more to get over that learning curve, to get more comfortable with what you're saying on the phone and what you're saying in the home. And then once you get comfortable, then, you know, it just becomes easier for you. You know, it's becomes simpler. I won't say it's ever easy, because, you know, even to this day, picking up the phone still feels like it's 1,000 pounds to me on dial days. But I do it anyway because of the habit that I've created over the last 4.5 years. So excited for you. I'm going to have you stick around for this last part, because one of the things that I just talking and working with Emmanuel, one of the things that I realize is there's so much that we as producers that have been doing this for a while know that we don't always have at the front of our mind. And so there's a couple of things I just wanted to kind of go over, like a basic in-home presentation that I do, just to see, you know, if there's anything that you guys can take away from my process. Because like Emmanuel said, one of the things that you learn to do over time is you become better at creating structure and maintaining control of that appointment. And there's certain ways you say certain things and the way you set up the appointment that pretty much you'll know if you're going to make a sale within the first 5 to 10 minutes, and then you're just guiding the client through that sale. Or you'll know if you're not, then you need to figure out a way how to end it.
Yeah.
And I have ways to end it. I could tell the client, yeah, you might need to think about this. Let me follow up with you. And because I know based on how they reacted to my setup, if they're going to be doing business with me or not. So a couple of things, right? There's 4 things that I bring to every house with me that we have in the knowledge library. And as a matter of fact, let me see if this will let me share my screen real quick. See if I could pull these up so you guys know exactly where to find them. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So in the knowledge library, under the in-home section, there's a couple documents. Though every one of you should have already been on a training call or orientation call, but we have our client worksheet. That's document number 1 that I have with me in every house that I go to, every appointment that I do, whether it's virtual or in person. And then under the product benefits section, there's 2 documents from here that I take into every appointment with me. One is the Americo mortgage protection benefit sheet. So if I'm doing a mortgage protection appointment, I have that sheet, and I'll show you here how I utilize that. And then the other one here is a final expense benefit sheet. So if this is a final expense appointment, I'm utilizing this sheet, and I'm going to explain to you how. But these 2 sheets I have with me. I have them printed out just like I do here, and I have them with me in every appointment that I go to. And then the final sheet that I take with me into every house is the policy. Under the policy recording documents section, there's the client insurance coverage page. Okay. And so that's a summary of the policy that we put in place today. And we fill it out, client signs it, I sign it, and I leave it behind with the client. And as an added bonus, I think Anissa posted about this little poem that we put up on here, but I leave this with most of my clients. Sometimes I don't, but I probably should with everyone. But it's really a retention tool, allowing the appointment, the client to realize that, hey, this is important, So I like this line where it says, when you're laid to rest, I will come alive and begin my work. That's kind of the policy talking to the client. So sometimes I'll hand it to my client and let them read it while I'm writing up their insurance coverage page. I say, hey, read this quick poem. It just lets you kind of, know what we did today and why it's important. So those are a couple of tools, guys, that I don't know if everybody utilizes, but you want to make sure you utilize. And I'm going to start with the client worksheet. I'll just pull this one up on the screen, and I'm just going to highlight a couple of things that I say here. So in my appointment, Emmanuel, one of the most important things for me to do is to be able to make sure that the client knows that my goal is for us to do business today. So when I meet with a client, I'll make some small talk. And then when I get down to business, let's say it's an internet life lead, I'll say, hey, Emmanuel, you know what? Most of my clients, they fill these forms out online because they're shopping for life insurance. And it's either, and you heard me say this to Ivan, it's either because you have some and it's not enough, or, you're trying to save some money on the premiums, or you have none at all and you need some because you don't want anybody to be burdened. So that's the first thing I say to kind of identify what kind of client that I'm dealing with and what their specific need is. And it's going to be one of the 2. Either they have some, they're trying to make some changes, save some money, add some more, whatever the case may be, it's lapsing and they need a new one, or they have none at all and they want to make sure they've got something in place so that nobody's burdened. Okay. And so I'll find out that first. That way I know which direction I'm going, what client I'm working with. And then I'll go into my client worksheet. And before I go into the client worksheet, I'll set up the appointment. I'll say, hey, Manuel, so here's what we're going to do today, right? I'm going to run through a couple quick questions just to kind of see what I could do to help you. I'm licensed with about 15 different insurance companies, so I have access to pretty much any life insurance policy that's out there. But to help find out what you're looking for, I'll ask you some specific questions. I'm also going to ask you some health questions. That way I'll know which company can get you the most affordable plan. And I like to use that word affordable because they're already thinking that, right? They're already thinking, they're thinking, this better be something I can afford. And so so I want to throw that out there, that that's my concern as well. So I want to make sure you qualify health-wise, and I want to make sure that this is affordable for you. And then I like to say, hey, the most we can do, Emmanuel, is if we find something that you could qualify health-wise and it's affordable for you, we can apply for coverage today. And the insurance company is going to need a couple of things, right? They're going to need to verify your identity. So we'll need a driver's license, okay? They're going to need to verify your medical history. So we're going to need your social security number. They're going to need to know who they're going to pay when you die. So we'll need to know the names and the date of birth and phone numbers of your beneficiary. And then they're going to need to know how you're going to pay until you die. And I normally smile right there, and they'll smile too. So we'll need a checking or savings account number, you know, and I'll say, do you have one of those? If I'm dealing with a senior client, because sometimes they might not have a checking account or savings account, they might have a direct express card, or they might not have any at all. And I want to know up front. So this is all a part of my setup before I even start the client worksheet. I'm setting them up that here's what we're going to do, here's what we'll need. And then I ask them any questions on any of those, and they'll either tell me if there's a question, or they'll say, no, that makes sense. I said, okay, perfect. Let me get started. And then, guys, I simply just go through this client worksheet. I start at the top, collect their information, name, date of birth. I pretty much already have that on the lead, but I just verify it. And then I collect their income. And typically, if I'm dealing with, you know, somebody that's a senior, I'll say, hey, so are you, you know, I know you're retired. Is that income just Social Security, or do you get a pension as well on top of that? And then they'll tell me, oh, yeah, it's just Social Security disability or Social Security. And then I'll say, hey, about how much is that each month? Okay. And they give me that. Now, some people like to go in and break down the expenses and everything like that. You could choose to if you want. I typically don't. The reason why I get the income is I just want to have an idea of what their budget looks like, right? Because, you know, one of the things, I was listening to a book, oh man, it's by Grant Cardone. I can't remember the name of it, but he mentioned something that was, to me, was pretty funny. But he's like, man, everybody's over budget. It's just about what's a priority to them that they're willing to spend the money on. Okay. So I spend more time on trying to figure out what's a priority to them and why this is important to them than necessarily, you know, how much do you pay for your light bill? How much do you pay for your cell phone bill? But you could do it however you want. I just kind of have a lump sum of their income. So I know, hey, if I'm showing them $100 policy, they can afford $100 because their income is, you know, $1,500 or $2,000 a month. Okay. But if they only make $800 a month, I'm not going to show them $100 policy. Yeah, so it wouldn't make sense. That's a big chunk of their income. So that's more of like a $40, $50, $60 policy. Yeah. So, and then in this section as well, before I move on, guys, I try to find out, you know, who are we trying to protect? So I'll say to you like, hey, Emmanuel, so obviously you fill this out. This is important to you. There's somebody you're trying to protect. You know, are you just trying to get some coverage in place to cover your burial, or are you trying to leave a little bit more behind? He'll answer me and I'll say, okay, who are we trying to leave that behind for? Is that your daughter? Is that your sister, your brother? Who are we trying to protect? And then he'll tell me, and I asked a little question about them. So if it's his daughter, I'll say, hey, so where does she live? Is she here locally? Would she have to travel in? Would she have to take time off work? And I'm just building the value in the coverage that we're about to put in place, because he's thinking, okay, this will make sure if she has to miss work, you know, that's covered. She's got some extra money in her pocket. If she has to travel, there's some money for that. So we're not just trying to cover the burial, for example. We're trying to make sure everything is taken care of. And then I like to ask the question, and I'll say to my clients like, hey, you know what? A lot of times when I get these forms, it's because somebody in the family's passed away, somebody at church or in the community has passed away. Have you experienced any deaths in the family in the last couple months? And a lot of times they have, whether it's due to COVID or whether it's due to something else. There's a trigger event that's making them want to get more insurance or get some insurance in place. And so I ask about that. And so those are some of the things I cover right here in just this, you know, the client information section of the client worksheet before I even go into the medical questions. Okay. I'm digging in and I'm kind of having a conversation of why they dare tell me why they need it, you know, and I'm not telling them, hey, you need this, you need this. I'll educate them on their options, but the need comes from the client, and we have to get good at asking enough questions to pull out that need from the client. Demizo said, Sell or Be Sold. Yeah, I think that's the name of the book, Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. So Those are some of the things. And there's more questions you guys can ask. Watch a lot of the training videos. That's all I did, and I got it. But that section right there, guys, it's not just for you to get the client's name and their address and their date of birth, confirm all of that stuff. Dig in that section and find out why they need it and develop that need. Ask a couple extra questions. Ask about, hey, have you ever had any experience in your life where somebody passed away and they didn't have life insurance and you had to help out with covering that, right? Or did you have an experience where somebody passed away and they had life insurance and that made the burden easier for you, where you didn't have to go ahead and come out of pocket, but the insurance was there. So now they're thinking about either one of those situations. And when you get to the point where you show them some plan options, they're ready to go because they already know they need it and they've told you that they need it. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
So once I do that, I'll go a couple of different directions, right? I'll either, if we discovered that they had some insurance up front, I'll jump down to the current life insurance section at the bottom of the form here, and I'll get some details on that. And I'll say, Emmanuel, I know you mentioned you had a policy already. You wanted to add on some more, or you're trying to see if you could save some money. First of all, do you have that policy? Can you go grab it real quick? Let me take a look at it. 2-3 minutes, I'll be able to know what, I could do to help you. And then if you don't have that policy, how much do you pay a month? What company is it with? How much coverage is it? And then I put that down and I collect that information, and I'm able to determine, okay, should we, when did you get it, right? So if this is something that he got recently, I'm looking at maybe I could replace this and just do one plan that's comprehensive, that's just for the one policy with me instead of with that other company. And in most cases, they either got something over the phone or they fill something out via the mail, and they have a graded benefit where they're going to have to wait 2 years before it pays out anyway. So when I look at that policy, or when he tells me about that policy, I'm looking, to see how can I put him in a better position. Now, if he's got a good policy, let's say the policy, he got it 10 years ago, it's a permanent policy with Mutual of Omaha. I'm not going to mess with that. I'm going to say, okay, that's a great policy, Emmanuel. Let's go ahead and see what we can add on to this and put you in a better position. But this one's a good one. Make sure you don't let this lapse. Okay. But if it's something recent, then I'm looking at how I can do a comprehensive plan and get rid of that one. Okay. So then I'll jump to the medical information. And this is the key, guys, because I get a lot of the calls from the in-home helpline, and you want to be as detailed as possible. And there's a couple of questions I had asked you, I think, when you had called me one time, and there was another agent as well. You want to find out what medical conditions they have, and then when they were diagnosed and what they're taking or what they've been prescribed, whether they took it or not. And that's so crucial because a lot of times clients, they'll get the medication from the doctor, but they won't use it. They'll just have it there. Yeah, I don't need that. There's so many times I have clients that are, prescribed diabetic pills for diabetes. I don't take that. I'm just eating right and exercising. I'm looking at them like, no, you're not. But okay, whatever you say. But either way, the insurance companies look at that as if they had taken it. Yeah, it's on the file. So you want to be detailed, and you could ask. I normally run through this list, so I'll just kind of give it to you guys real quick how I do it. So first I'll say, Emmanuel, are you a smoker or a non-smoker? And he'll say, no, I'm not a smoker. Okay, perfect. So then I'll say, have you ever had any conditions with your heart, any heart attack, heart disease, heart surgeries, anything like that? And he'll tell me. And if he says, yeah, I had a heart attack 10 years ago. Okay, 10 years ago. So we're talking, Emmanuel, about 2011. What month was it? I could try to get as detailed as possible. Did you end up having any surgeries to deal with the heart? Did you have any stents placed? And that way I can kind of get a good idea. What prescriptions did the doctor put you on, after you had that heart attack? So I'm trying to dig deep and get details on that situation. And then I say, okay, how about stroke? Have you ever had a stroke or a TIA? For those of you that don't know, a TIA is a mini stroke, transient ischemic attack. I can't say it right, but it's a mini stroke. And so I'll ask about that. And if he says, yeah, I had one 2 years ago. Okay, when 2 years ago? What month was it? And sometimes if they can't remember certain dates, I'll say, like, for example, if somebody says, I think it was like 2007, it might have been 2008. I'll say, okay, was it before Barack came into office or after Barack came into office? And most people remember, oh, yeah, it was right before Barack came into office. So then I know, okay, that's more like 2007. So you could use different events to help clients pinpoint when things happen, because sometimes they don't. They don't really, you know, remember exactly. You get a good idea. And then I just run through the rest of those. Have you ever taken anything for diabetes? You know, and they'll tell me no, or they say, yeah. And I say, what medication? And then diabetes, especially, you got to find out when they were diagnosed.
Okay.
Because if it's before age 50, some companies like Mutual won't take them. But if it's after age 50, Mutual will take them depending on what they're being treated with. So you want to get the details, get the name of the prescription that they're on. And with those, sometimes doctors switch up prescriptions. So you want to ask them, hey, have they changed the prescriptions on you in the last couple of years? Just so you know, okay, they used to be on metformin, but now they're on Januvia or Ozempic, and you get to learn these medications and you become almost like a pharmacist in the house. And so, guys, I just go through and I get a good understanding of what they've taken, any surgeries, any respiratory issues, anything for anxiety, depression, and I write that all down. And then from there, I'm going to the underwriting grid, right? And so let me just jump back to that real quick. This is the one thing that I have, but I don't take into the house. I always come to the knowledge library and I open up the underwriting grid. And then I hit final expense in this situation. And then I'm going through the final expense grid to identify the health condition, okay? So you could just scroll through this, guys, and just read through this. And this is supposed to be a guide, especially if you're brand new. This will kind of guide you in the direction you should go. And then what you want to do is you want to call the in-home helpline. And you want to be able to ask, you know, a question, and you want to be specific with your question. So that's why you want to collect all that information. And you want to be able to say, hey, Emmanuel, I'm here with Jermaine, Mr. Klein, and, you know, he had a heart attack 10 years ago. And I see that Americo most likely will approve him for some final expense. He's 56. That's the only thing that he has on the medical record. Am I going in the right direction? And then we're able to say, yep, you're going in the right direction. Go ahead and get him approved with Americo Eagle Premier. And now you could write Americo. And that's how I utilize this sheet right here. And this is for me to keep. And I let my clients know, like, hey, I'm going to complete this by the end. I'll have a couple plan options for us to review. And then we're going to pick the one that makes the most sense. And then we'll apply for that coverage and we'll see if we can get it approved. Okay. So when I'm done, you know, one of the things I'll do, this is the next sheet that I have with me. Like I told you guys, under the product benefit section, I use this final expense benefit sheet. I'm going to just pull it up on the screen. Hopefully you guys can see that. But before I show them the plan options, I go through this line by line. So I'll say, hey, Emmanuel, so just so you know, this plan I'm about to show you, I'm showing you 3 different plan options, but all of them work the same way. All of them are permanent. It's never going to expire on you. The death benefit is guaranteed to stay the same the entire time. The premiums are guaranteed to remain the same the entire time. Obviously, it's life insurance, so it pays out to your beneficiary probate-free and tax-free. And then with Americo, it doubles for accident. If it's not Americo, I just skip over that one. I don't even mention it. If I'm doing a company like Mutual, that doesn't include the accidental. And then I'll circle terminal illness because that's included. And I'll say that means that you can get 50% of the money out of the policy if you were terminally ill. Doctor says you've got 12 months or less. And then the policy bills cash value. It's not enough to get you rich, but it's there. You could use it to pay the premium 1 month if you're running short on funds. And then most importantly, Emmanuel, this is going to be effective immediately. So, you know, Americo is probably going to give us a pre-approval today. And then if they pre-approve us, that means the policy is basically effective immediately. In about 2 to 3 business days, it'll be fully approved. They're going to mail you the policy, but you don't have to worry. If you die, you might not get the money because it's fully effective right away. And they're going to send a premium request in about 2 to 3 business days. And then once I go over this, then I go over the plan options. Now I'm typically showing him 3 options. And I'll say plan A, plan B, plan C. And the reason I do that specifically with final expenses, because I'm typically dealing with a senior that's probably 65 and older, and they're used to plans with Medicare. So I'm just trying to keep the language the same. And then I'll say, okay, Emmanuel, which one of these plans will make the most sense where it's not burdening you while you're still living, you know, financially each month when the premium comes out, but also it's not going to burden your daughter when you pass away, making sure that she has enough left to, you know, be able to bury you and have some money left over. And then I just shut up and I listen. And he picks A, B, or C. And then I said, perfect. All right. Like I told you, we're going to need your driver's license. And when I get to that point in the application, we'll need your social. And then when I get to the end, we'll need, you know, your daughter's information and the banking information. And I just start the application while he's getting that. I look straight to my computer, my tablet, and I start typing. Okay. And he gets up and he starts getting his driver's license, or he might have it in his pocket. He pulls it out and we go through it. So does that make sense? Yeah. I'm using you kind of as a feedback from the audience. This would be kind of awkward if I was doing it without you here. So sorry to tie you up. But any questions from you on any of that? Because I know you're seeing kind of this for the first time.
No, like you go through with the structure. When you have structures, it goes way better than not having a structure. Yeah. Just going through saying stuff randomly. When you know exactly how to go through it, you can stay on track, especially when they start trying to get small talk. Because sometimes you'll get small talk, and if you don't catch yourself, you'll go into a whole other sidebar conversation for like 30 minutes.
And that's why I always point back to my client worksheet, because you know, if they start going off when I say, oh, and by the way, I forgot to ask you this one, and I'm taking control back over again, you know, of the conversation. But that's typically how I use it. And then I do the same thing for mortgage protection, guys. This is the mortgage protection benefit page here. So I'll utilize this for mortgage protection, or if I'm doing a regular internet life lead, that's a younger person that I'm doing a term policy for that has living benefits, I'll utilize some of these features of the mortgage protection plan to explain the living benefits, right? So like, you know, covers for no matter what cause of death is, and I'll go through the chronic, critical, and terminal illness. And if there's a cashback option, I'll use this to explain. So that's the third form that I have in every home that I go into. And then finally, like I said up front, it's the insurance coverage page. And I'll pull that one up again, so that way you guys can see this and where I find this. And this is all in the Knowledge Library, guys. So that's why I said Knowledge Library is like your business Bible. So insurance coverage page, you fill this out. I put my name, my phone number, the company name. Most companies give you a policy number. If not, I just put TBD, to be determined. Policy details, if it's, you know, 30,000 with Americo, I put 30,000 death, 60,000 accident death. Premium draft date, I put 2 to 3 days here. And then I put the premium amount, you know, $60, $100, whatever it may be. I sign, and then they sign, and I review it with them, and I'll say, hey, here's what we put in place today, Manuel. Here's your, you know, company name is Americo. Sometimes I'll put Americo's phone number on there, and then I just review the policy details, and then I go back up and I'll say, hey, 10 to 14 days, they're going to mail the policy to you. Once you receive the policy, give me a call. My number is here. I'll attach my business card to this, and this is what I leave behind with the client. I said, give me a call. You're going to get a hard copy of the policy. And that way I can go over this with you once you get it, and make sure, you know, you don't have any further questions. And that's pretty much it. Wrap up my appointment. I ask them any questions, and then they said, no questions. And I'll say, hey, man, I take a picture with all my clients. So I'm going to take a selfie real quick, grab my camera, take a selfie. And then I say, I'm going to send this to you once you let me know your policy comes in. And so I saved the picture. I posted on Facebook, in our Facebook group. And then when I check in to make sure their policy comes in, I'll shoot them a text, and I'll put the picture in there, and I'll say, hey, Emmanuel, it's Jermaine, your life insurance agent. Just wanted to check to see if your policy came in, and it'll be the picture of me and you. And then they'll be like, hey, man, yeah, policy came in, whatever the case may be. So it's just, you know, a little bit of a retention tool, a little customer service tool, but that just gives you guys a good idea of how we kind of go through it. So I'll open up to see if you guys have any questions. We'll take about 5 minutes of questions. Hopefully that's beneficial. With talking with you, I was like, man, I haven't gone through this. Even though we have so much training out there, I haven't gone through it like at a deeper level live in a long time. So I wanted to go through this, and hopefully it was beneficial. Anybody have questions on any of what I went through, any aspects of that? You can unmute, or you could drop your question in the chat. All right, I guess I did a good job. Sarah says that was awesome. So, but yeah, guys, we're super excited. Fourth quarter, we're in week 3. Well, week 3 is almost over of the 12-week program right now, 12-week holiday incentive program. So don't get left behind. Don't miss out. And I'll leave you with this quote from LeBron James. Says, you can't be afraid to fail. It's the only way you succeed. And that's gospel right there. That's the truth. So, I mean, part of what we do involves whether it's failing on the phone, failing in the home, buying some leads and not having the success we want. That's part of life and that's part of this business. So just embrace the mess, like I always say. And then also, most importantly, reach out for help. If you need help, we're here to help you with anything that you need. Your mentors, your coaches, your managers. We got some great guys and gals that are part of this team that's here to help. And let's, raise each other up. It says a rising tide raises all ships. So let's rise together. Congratulations again, Ashley, and look forward to seeing you guys in West Palm Beach Thursday, and then seeing everybody in Atlanta that's coming to Atlanta for the sales conference on Monday. Let's make it a great rest of the dial day. Rodrigo, you are welcome, man. Thanks for being on the call. Glad it was helpful. All right, guys, talk to you later.